So we will use the same class that we used in the previous activity. So I have uploaded this one to the VLE. So this is the MD5 class, so I'm going to copy this coding part, and I will paste it into my MD5 class like this. So then we need to import some necessary packages here, java.security, and here also we need to import java.math, and here again java.security. Okay, so now we have completed this MD5 class as well. So now all these three classes are completed: the DB connector, MD5, and user class. So now again we will go to our activity. So here now the double OP concept. So under this double OP concepts we have created these three classes. So in this activity, the first task is we need to develop a registration form. So that means the signup.html page. So that is the registration form that collects necessary information from the users, such as their username, their first name, last name, email address, and desired username and password. So we will go to this interface. So this is the interface, sign up. So here you can see first name, last name, email address, password is there, because the username is again the email address is again the username as well. So therefore we don't have two fields in this one, in this form. Then we need to create a Java servlet called registration servlet. So this is the name of the servlet, registration servlet. I am going to copy this one to handle the submission of the registration form. Ensure that the URL link to access the servlet is registration. So that means in this case, so we are going to use a very human friendly names as the links. So because we are not going to use this registration servlet kind of things to in the use side, so we are going to use some very user friendly names like registration. So we will see how we are going to add this servlet now. So I'm going to these source packages. Again I'm going to create another package called servlets. Now servlets, all the servlets I'm going to put inside this servlet package. So now we will create a new servlet called registration servlet. So in this place I'm going to add this information to the web.xml, but the URL pattern now is registration. So I'll move to the activity. So this is the URL pattern. So I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so this is the URL pattern now. So I'm going to create the servlet like this. So now I will go to my sign up page, and in the sign up page we will go to where the form tag is located. Yes, the form tag in sign up page. So this is the sign up page. Okay, so this is the form tag. So now the action, so we are going to add this one, registration. So this is the action of this form, and then method is, so we will use post because we are going to use some sensitive information. So therefore we are going to use the form method as form. Okay, so now we will run this application and we will see whether our link is working. So we will go to sign up, and now I'm going to click on this sign up. Okay, so we are having required field validations here, so therefore we will put some dummy data here, and we will click on this sign up. Okay, so now we are going to this registration servlet. So that means our link is now working correctly. So that is fine now. So now we will go to our registration servlet, and this registration servlet is actually going to handle a business logic here. So that is the registration part of the system, and once the registration is success, so we are going to move, or we are going to send this user into another servlet called registration success servlet. Okay, so this is the registration success servlet. So I'm going to create that servlet as well now. So now again under the servlets we are going to create a new servlet called registration success. So in this one also we are having a very human friendly link here. So what is that link? that is registration success. So this is the link. So we will use that registration success. Okay, registration success. So we will use the link like this. So this is the registration success. So registration servlet is going to handle the business logic only. So that means it's not going to output anything to the user. So if the registration is not successful, we are going to move this user again to the sign up page. If the registration is successful, so then we are going to move this user to the registration success servlet. So that is how this application is going to work. So therefore in this case we don't need anything to anything to send any HTML characters to send to the browser side. So therefore I'm going to remove these parts because we don't need these parts here. And now here we need to get the user inputs. We need to get first name, so that's coming from the request object, because everything any type of user inputs will come to the request object. So then we can use this get parameter method, and we can pass the parameter to get this value. So let's go to the sign up page and we will see what is the key of this first name. So the key is first name. So this is the parameter we need to use here. Okay, likewise we need to get the last name, username, password. So these are the things that we need to get. So this one last name, so this one username, and this one password. Okay, and here also we can use last name, username, and password. And other than that we are having something called role as well, but we are not going to give any options to the normal users to select a role, because in this case, so if I go to the database query here, so I have commented that what are the roles that what are the roles this system can have. So those are admin, customer, and salesman. So if one is going to use our public website to create a user role here, so then we will always consider this user as a customer, because we know that in this kind of environment, so we have only one or two admins, and most probably one admin, and we can have one or two salesmen. Okay, so then the salesman's account the admin can create, because we are having only limited number of accounts. So but when it comes to the customers, we cannot tell exactly how many customers we can have. So it can be 100, sometimes it can be 1,000. So therefore the public website is giving facilities to customers to create their accounts, but the internal accounts like the salesman's accounts, the admin is responsible to create. So therefore in this case, so we are not giving that option, but here we are going to hard code that value. So any request coming from this request URL is actually a customer. So therefore I am going to add this value like this. So then every time uh, when the user is using this register link, so then we are going to call to this registration servlet, and in this servlet we are having the role as customer. Every time the registration is going to every time the registration is happening with the customer, so that means the account that we are going to create here is a customer account. Okay, so now in this case we need to encrypt this password, so I'm going to use md5 dot get md5 method to get the hash value of the user entered password, because we discussed that so we are not going to save the plain text password to the database, so we are not going to use the plain text password anywhere in the code. So therefore the very first time we are getting that value, so we are going to convert into a hash value like this. So now we are going to register this user. First I'm going to create a user object here, so uh, we can use the user class, and we can use the second method here, because here we are having first name, last name, username, password and role. So now created the object. So now we are going to call to this register one. In this case we need to pass the connection, so we are going to call db connector, and then we are going to use get connection to get a new connection. So now we can see, okay, so we will use a try catch one in this case, because there can be some exceptions, so therefore we will use a try catch here. Okay, now in this case you can see that since we have created this get connection and a static method, we are just referring the class. That means we are accessing the class and we are calling to this one. Otherwise we need to create an object and we need to call to this method, but since this is a static method, so we are directly going to use it like this. So now this register user this register method is sending a boolean value for us. So that means whether this user is registered or not. So therefore we are going to use if condition here. If this user is registered, that means if you are getting a true value here, so then we are going to pass this user into registration success servlet. Okay, so this is how we are going to pass. So we are having object called response dot send request, no request send redirect. So response dot send redirect. So here we need to mention the redirection path. So I will I'm going to pass this user to the registration success one. Registration success. So I will check whether this link is correct. So I will go to web.xml file, and okay, what is the link that we are going to use? Okay, so this is the link. So I will copy this one, so then we won't have any issues here. So I will copy this one, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so this is the link, registration success. Okay, so if this user registered correctly with our system, so then we are going to send this user to the registration success. If not, so that means if the registration is not success, so then again we are moving this user, so we are sending this user to sign up.html file, sign up.html file. So we are sending this user to this file. Okay, so now we will see whether this is going to work. So whether, okay, so in this registration success one, so we need to show a message as well. So according to this activity, you can see that in this registration success page, we need to provide a link to go back to the login page. The link should point to the index.html page. So we will do that part as well. So then we can see how this is going to work. So I will go to the registration success one. So now in this case we are showing some output to the user, that means HTML output. So therefore I'm not going to delete this part, but I'm going to do some modifications. So here I will use a title like registration success, and here I will show a message to the user: you have successfully registered with us. Please log in here. Okay, like this we will show message to the user. Now the login here, so we need to use anchor tag here because we need to move this user into index.html page. I'm going to close this anchor tag here. So without using h1 we will use h3 kind of heading, otherwise we will see a very big heading here, h3. So now I will run this project. So we will get the main interface like this. We will go to the sign up, and here I'm going to give some values. Click on sign up. Okay, we came to the registration. Okay, we will come to the registration. So this is the registration. And we will go to our database, and we will see whether any data is saved here. Okay, no, nothing is saved, so that means we are having some issues here. First we will see what is that. Okay, so we forgot to add this what do you call this library. So we forgot to add this library in this case, so we will add that one, because we need to add the JDBC library here, because the JDBC library is what we are going to use in this case. So therefore I'm going to add this JDBC MySQL JDBC driver first, and once we add it, so we need to do some changes to our DB connector class, because we didn't add any values here. So here the URL means our database URL, so this is the database URL. So I'm going to get this value, and I'm going to add it here, like this. So this is the URL of our database, and username is test user, password also the same, test user, and the driver is com.mysql.jdbc.driver. So com.mysql.jdbc.driver, so that is the driver name. So actually we forgot to add these values, because we have created this class but we didn't add these values or the driver into our working environment. So now that is fine. So we will move to the sign up page again. Okay, sign up page, and I'm going to use the previous information here and click on this sign up. Okay, still we are having the same issue. We will go to the registration servlet. Okay, here we will use throw new servlet exception. So here we will get get message. Okay, let's see what is this error. So now I'm going to run this one again. Okay, again we will go to sign up, and I'm going to use this information. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, table user is not exist. So you can see what kind of information that we can get by using this exception handling, because I didn't add anything previously, so that is why we didn't see the message. But after adding this one, so you can see now we can clearly see what is the problem, because when I'm creating this user class, the table name is users here, but I think I have used it as user. So let's go to our user class here. Okay, so here this is the problem, because we have used it as user but it should be users. So we will double check here as well. Okay, so this place is okay, but here we have used it as user, so that is the problem. So now we will run the system again. So we will remove the previous ones. So go to sign up now and use this one. Okay, then it worked well. So you can see you have successfully registered with us. Please log in here. Once I click login here, so I will move to this place. So we will see, we will go to the database and we will see whether these values are saved. Okay, so you can see the values are saved, and also the password is encrypted now. That means we are using the hash value now, and the role is set it as customer. So now that is fine. So let's move to the other part of this activity. Okay, with this one, so we are completing the registration part. So this is the registration part. So we have completed up to this level, registration part. So now we need to do the other part. So that is we are going to use this login form, that means index.html login form to uh, to login this user, to login this user into the system. So in this case, so we need to have another servlet called login servlet. So I'm going to copy this name, login servlet. So I'm going to create this login servlet as well. So inside this servlet, so now I'm going to create another servlet called login. So in this case, we need to add the link, user friendly link here. So that is login. Okay, so we are going to use the link as login. Now click finish. So this is the login one. In this case also, we are not going to send any information from this login servlet file, because this is going to handle a business logic again. So because if the login is success, we are going to move this user into the welcome servlet. If the login is not success, so that means if the username and password is incorrect, we are going to move this user again back to the login interface. So therefore this login servlet is not going to send any HTML characters or HTML content to the browser side. So because of that, we don't need this additional information here which were added by default. So we are going to remove that part. And now in this case again, we need to have username, and in this case we are going to use request dot get parameter, and here so the parameter is username, because in the login form we are getting username and password. So we will first save those things into a variable, and this one password, and we need to get the md5 hashed one. So therefore I will call to this get md5 method, and I'm going to get the hash value and saved here. So now I'm going to create a user object again. So we will create a user object. So we need to have a new user. So in this case we can use the first method, because here we are having only the username and password. By using only the username and password, we are going to create this user like this. So now again I'm going to use a try catch here, because I'm going to use the authentication method. Authentication method also can throw some exceptions, so that is why I'm using try catch here. So without doing the last time mistake, so I will throw any new servlet exceptions, if you are getting any exceptions here to the server side, not to the browser side, by using this get message one, so then we can see it clearly. We can see what is the error we are getting in this case. Okay, so now we are going to call to this authenticate method, and in this case also we need to pass we need to call to this db connector, and we need to get a connection. And now we are not creating any methods here with new object, because it's a static one. And this case also we are getting a binary value, whether the authentication is okay or not. So therefore we will use a if condition here. So then if and we can have else part as well. So if the authentication is success, so then we are going to redirect this user into success. So we are going to, okay, so we are going to create a cookie to store users information, such as unique identifier. So that means so we can use id or username, it's mean the first name last name kind of things. And then the users information we are going to retrieve from the cookies in the next page. So that is the welcome servlet, but in this video we are not going to talk about that part. So we will move the user into a welcome servlet, and we will finish this video. And after that, in the next video we will see how to use cookies to store and retrieve information to complete this activity. Okay, so now so now I'm going to create another servlet here. So that is welcome servlet, and in this case we can have the link as welcome, because that is what mentioned in the activity. You can see that the link should be welcome. So therefore I'm going to modify it like this. So then I'm going to add it like this. Now if the login is success, so we are going to so we are calling to this response object, and we are going to use send redirect method. Now in this case we are going to send this user into welcome. We are going to send this user into welcome one, and if that is not correct, so that means if the username and password incorrect, so then again we will move this user to the sign in page, so that we need index.html page. Okay, so now in this point I will add the cookie as well, because that is only two-step thing. So then we don't need to go to another video to learn that one. So I will add that part as well here. So now since the authentication is correct, so now we are going to create a new cookie here. So we can use the cookie class, and we can create a cookie object, and this is a new cookie. And so we can give a name for this cookie. So we will use so in this case we are going to add two informations. One is the first name and last name, because in the welcome servlet page here you can see that we need to show the first name and last name of this user. So then we need to get the first name and last name. So therefore I'm going to use two cookies here. First cookie is going to save the first name of this user. So that is we can get by user dot by using get first name method, we can save first name. And like this we can have another cookie. So this one ck1 cookie 1, and this is cookie 2. Cookie 2 will save the last name, and we can call to this get last name method to get the last name, and we are going to save it in the cookie 2. So now I'm going to add this I'm going to call to this response dot add cookie method, and we are going to add the cookie 1, and also we are going to add the cookie 2 to the response. Okay, so now once this response is going to the user side, so then these cookies will be installed or saved to the uh, users uh, hard drive. So now we will go to this welcome servlet one. So this is the welcome page. So here we are going to show some HTML content to the user, so therefore I'm not going to delete this part, but here so title, I will change the title as welcome title as welcome to Samadhi bookstore. So welcome to Samadhi bookstore. So likewise I'm going to show a kind of a title, and then so in this area, so we need to show welcome first name and last name, and we need to have a sign out button as well. So I will modify this content and I will use welcome, and now I need to have the first name and last name here. So now I'm going to get this first name and last name from the cookies. Okay, so I will create a cookie array here, because we are getting many cookies from a website, because it's not a one cookie. So once we are going to access a request, so it request can have many cookies. So in our case also we are having two cookies, because we are going to use cookie called first name and cookie called last name to save the first name and last name. So therefore we will also have two cookies. So therefore we are going to create a cookie array here. So then we are going to call to this request and then get cookies method. So then we can get all those cookies and we can save those cookies under this array. So then we will use for loop to go through this cookie array, and here so we are going to create a cookie object called ck, and from cks. Okay, so then we are going to check if this ck dot get name is equals to our name. So what is the name? First name. So whether we are going to check whether this first name cookie is there. So when you are going through this iterative through this cookies array, so once we get this first name cookie, so then we are going to save this value. So we will create two variables called first name and last name here, and then if this first name, if we found this first name cookie, so then we are going to get the value. So that means we are going to get the value of this cookie. Okay, we are going to get the value of this cookie and we are going to save it inside the first name. And again we are going to check the same for the last name as well. And we are going to save it as the last name. So like this. So now we are going to get the first name and last name from these available cookies. So now in this case we can print this welcome first name welcome first name, and then we will have a small space here, and then again the last name. Okay, so we will use some null value here. Okay, okay, so we modified like this. Now it's working, because without value we cannot use it, because we are assigning values inside if condition. So in this case, sometimes if this if condition is not going to execute, so we don't have any value with this first name, but we are expecting a value here, so that is why it's giving an error. But once we assign a null value here, so then it will work like this. Okay, now this is welcome, and we are having first name and last name, and our welcome message is having another thing, so that is the sign out. So we need to have a sign out as well, so I'm going to add that class as well here. Sign out, so should be simple sign out like this, and I will make this as h2 heading without using h1. I will change it to h2, and sign out should be an hyperlink. You can see once I click on this hyperlink, I need to go to this sign out servlet page, and this servlet will delete the cookie and redirect the user to the index.html page. So that is what this sign out is going to do. Okay, sign out will first delete the cookie and then redirect the user to the index.html page. So let's create this sign out.servlet page. So I will go here, and now under the servlet, so I'm going to create another servlet. So that servlet name is sign out.servlet. So the link is sign out, so it should be simple here, sign out. Now in this case also we are not going to print anything to the browser, so therefore I'm going to remove this part. So in this sign out, what I'm going to do it, I'm going to delete these two cookies. So that means first I need to get these two cookies, and then so that means I can set these two cookies expiry date into 0. Okay, so then so you know that so we are having this set max kind of method is there, so we can use this method, and we can assign two values there, 0 or -1. We discussed those things during the lecture. So if you are adding 0, so that means immediately we are going to delete this cookie. If you are going to use -1, so then once the browser is closed, we are going to delete this cookie. So therefore I'm going to create this I'm going to use cookie class, and I'm going to create ck1. So this is new cookie, and I'm going to use the same name that I'm using the cookie called first name cookie, and I don't have any values here. So likewise I'm going to create the second cookie as well. Second cookie is for last name. So now I'm going to use ck1 dot set max age into 0. So now it will expire immediately. Once this response go to the browser side, this cookie will immediately expire, so that means it will delete. The same thing I'm going to do with the cookie 2 as well. Okay, now I set up the max age as 0 for all these cookies. Now I'm going to add this into response add cookie, and here ck1 and ck2. Okay, now I'm going to redirect this user to the send redirect to the login, because login means index page, because once the cookies are deleted, so we need to send this user to the index.html page. Okay, send redirect to html page. So we will see how this is going to work actually. So now I'm going to okay, I need to link the sign out servlet as well. So I will because in this case you can see that we are having a sign out link, and once I click on the sign out link only I'm going to sign out servlet. So we will see how we are going to do that part. Okay, now this is okay. So I'm going to use this one again. So now I'm going to use sign in. So we will use the correct password, and we will see what's going to happen now. Okay, we didn't modify our we didn't modify our index.html file, because that form we need to modify that form. Okay, sorry. Because in this case you can see that we need to add this link into this index.html file, so then only we can send this information to the login servlet. So we will do that part. Okay, we ask this index.html, so we need to find the form tag here. So this is the form tag. Here we need to have the action as login, and then we need to use method as post, because we are going to send some sensitive information. Okay, so now we will run it, and we can see now it's working, because in the previous case actually we didn't add these things, so that is why it didn't work. Okay, now I will use my username and password. Okay, you can see now we got this welcome and my name, and I didn't get the last name, so we will see what has happened here. So we can go to our settings, and in this browser we can go to this cookie and site permission, and here you can see we are having an option called manage delete cookies, and from this one we can go to see all cookies and site data. In here we can see that we are having a cookie under this localhost, so I will go to this one. So this is the localhost cookie, so you can see that we are having two cookies. So these two cookies we have created, one is the first name and other one is the last name. But in the last name, so we are having the last name, but we are not getting it to here because it's showing null. So we will go to our code to check what is the problem here. Okay, so this is the problem. So when you are checking the cookies, so we have done a kind of a mistake here, so it should be last name, not last name R. So now if I refresh my browser, okay, so I'm getting this name, my name, because of this one. So you can see, so this is how we saved the data. So we have sent this data as a cookie, so now the cookie is saved in our browser. So we have two cookies here, first name and last name. Okay, so this is not we didn't create this one, but this first name and last name we created. So you can see under the first name, so my name is there, and my first name, and my last name is again saved under last name. So once we are calling to the welcome page, so we are accessing these two cookies, because these two cookies are automatically sending with the request to the server. So then the server is going to access these two cookie values, and then the server is going to display this name to the user. So we need to have a sign out as well, so I will add this sign out link now. So we didn't add this sign out link still. So in this case, so this is we are showing the message, so we need to add this sign out link. So I will add href equal sign out. So what is the link we need to use here? Sign out, okay, sign out. So this is the link we need to use. So I'll copy this link and paste it here. So I'm going to close this anchor tag now in this place. Okay, if I refresh this page now, okay, so we are getting this sign out. So now check this one. So here we are having two cookies, first name and last name. Okay, now still we are having some values with these two cookies. So now I'm going to sign out from this browser, from this account. So I will click on this sign out. Okay, now I came to the sign in page. Now if I refresh this one, so I will go to here. Now you can see we are having only one cookie. So if I expand this one, you can see those two cookies are not there now. So that means the first name cookie and last name cookie is not there. Why? We signed out. Because of that, what we did, when you are going to sign out from this website, what we are actually doing is we are going to call this sign out servlet. In this sign out servlet, what we are going to do is we are going to set the max age of this first name and last name cookie into 0. So that means immediately we are going to delete these cookies from the server. Once this request comes to this browser, the browser will delete these two cookies immediately. So that is why we are not seeing these two cookies. That is how we are going to handle the session management by using cookies. But in this activity, so we are asking some additional thing to do. So that is this one in okay, so in this case you can see that the 11th point. So if a user attempts to access the welcome servlet directly without login, redirect them to the index.html page. So that is so this is what it means. So here, so now I know that there's a link called welcome. Okay, so I'm going to delete this index and I'm going to use that link, welcome. So if I going to use this one, now you can see that we are actually accessing this page. So that means actually we have access this page, but according to this activity, it's telling that if the user is not logged in, so then we should redirect this user to the index.html page. So now we will see how we are going to do that part. So here, so I will go to this welcome servlet. So in this case, we are going to check. Okay, so in this place, so we are going to okay, we are going to get all the cookies here. So now in this case we are checking whether we are having any cookies. So we will use if condition. If ck is not equal to null, okay, so then only we are going to execute these things. So we are going to execute these things. So I will take up to this level. else no cookies, so then we are going to redirect this so we are going to redirect this user to the index.html page. So that is the login page. So now let's see what will happen if the user is going to access this site now. So now you can see if I use this welcome link here, so is that welcome page, the user cannot get that welcome page because this user does not have any cookies. Because of that, so the server is not giving the welcome page to this user. So that is how we are going to handle this uh, the 11th point. So now we actually we completed all these tasks which are there in this activity. So you can also go through this video again, and you can also create this one. So we will try this activity. So that means we will run this system again. So now, so this is how I'm going to log in. So once I logged in, so I will get my first name and last name with the sign out. So if I go to the browser settings, so then I can go to this cookies and site permission and manage and delete cookies and see all cookies. So now you can see that under this localhost, so we are having cookies. One is first name, other one is last name. So you can see this first name and last name is actually related to this activity 7.1, but another one is there, so that is not relevant to our one. So that is actually for the PHP MyAdmin. Okay, so now so once I sign out from this website, so if I go to the cookies again, so now you can see the cookies that we have created already deleted from our machine. So that is why we cannot access the welcome page again, because if I going to use welcome here, oh sorry, so I'm again moving to the sign in page. So that's all about this activity. Thank you for watching, and you can also again go through this one and you can complete this activity. Thank you.